$3 billion? I mean, can you believe that? That's apparently how much the black market for, like, gaming consoles and parts pulled in just last year.
It's huge number, really staggering.
Yeah.
And it sort of points to this hidden economy,
Yeah.
right? Affecting gamers, tech fans, yeah, pretty much everyone.
Yeah, exactly. So today, we're going to dive deep into that, this whole shadowy side of electronics.
And that number, that 3 billion, it suggests it's more than just, petty theft. There are bigger things at play.
Like what kind of things?
Well, think about weaknesses in supply chains, for
Okay.
one. And the fact that demand, especially for new stuff, just skyrockets past what legit places can sell.
Okay.
And the profit margins on the black market, often way higher than retail for these really hot items.
Right. So think of this deep dive as your guide to this whole underground scene. We'll unpack the stolen GPU issue. They're like digital gold now, and the rise of fake consoles, especially fake PS5s. Seems like they're everywhere.
Not prevalent.
So whether you're maybe looking to buy some tech or you're just curious about what drives the market behind the scenes, or, you just don't want to get scammed yourself, this is for you.
Definitely. We've been looking at discussions and reports that really shine a light on how these things work, the tactics, the scale.
Yeah, it's pretty eye-opening stuff.
So our mission here is basically to boil all that down, give you the key insights. A clear picture of this console black market, the real risks involved, and importantly, how you can stay safe.
Okay, let's get into it then. Welcome to the black market. It sounds so dramatic, doesn't it? But what are we actually talking about here?
Yeah, it does sound a bit like a movie title, but essentially it's the unofficial trade, often illegal, of electronics, like those GPUs we mentioned, gaming consoles, stuff happening outside the proper shops and websites.
So stolen goods, fakes.
Exactly. Stolen items, counterfeit consoles, or maybe things obtained illicitly and then resold, not through authorized dealers.
And back to that 3 billion figure. I mean, it's just hammers home. This isn't some tiny niche problem. It's a massive underground economy.
Absolutely. And the research suggests, it's not just random opportunists. We're seeing signs of organized operations.
Organized how?
Like sophisticated ways to move stolen gear around, even hacking into shipping systems or maybe having insiders involved, logistics being exploited.
Wow. Okay.
There are hints that bigger criminal groups might be involved too, which, as we'll get to, has caught the eye of the FBI.
Okay, this is where it gets really wild. Stolen GPUs. It feels like these graphics cards suddenly became the hottest commodity on the planet, like a gold rush, but digital. What's fueling that?
Well, the biggest factor really is cryptocurrency mining.
Ah, right. Bitcoin and all that.
Yeah, certain digital currencies need the processing power from these specific cards to, validate transactions and generate new coins. So demand just went through the roof.
Way beyond what manufacturers could supply.
Exactly. Legitimate retailers couldn't keep up, prices ballooned, and suddenly GPUs became incredibly valuable and a prime target for theft.
We saw this report, didn't we? A $5 million GPU heist. Just last month. That sounds like Ocean's 11 or something.
It really does. And a theft that big, that bold, it just shows the kind of money involved and probably the level of planning behind it.
These aren't just smash and grabs then.
Not always, no. These are often carefully planned jobs. And think about it, GPUs are valuable, but relatively small. Easy to transport, easy to sell in these hidden markets.
So let's say you're browsing online, maybe on some marketplace site, and you see a top-end GPU for like half the normal price. What should be the immediate red flag?
Alarm bells should be ringing loudly. You have to be super cautious. The strong possibility is either it's stolen, maybe from one of those big heists,
Right.
or it could be a card that's been absolutely thrashed, running crypto mining operations 24/7, and is basically on its last legs.
So either way, you're taking a huge risk buying from unofficial places.
A massive risk. You could be buying stolen property or just getting a piece of hardware that's about to die. Questionable legality, questionable lifespan, just not worth it usually.
Okay, let's switch gears. Fake PS5s. I can only imagine how unbelievably frustrating that must be. You finally think you've snagged one, and then disappointment.
Oh, it's the ultimate bait and switch. It totally preys on how much people want these things.
Scammers know there's huge demand, limited supply.
Exactly. They exploit that situation perfectly. Creates this environment where fraud just thrives, targeting gamers desperate to get their hands on the latest console.
And the stories we heard, I mean, it's not just slightly off fakes, is it? We heard about people getting older consoles shoved into PS5 boxes.
Yep, that happens. Or sometimes even worse.
Like opening the box to find nothing. Or junk.
Junk is putting it mildly sometimes. We heard one story, genuinely someone received a brick,
A brick,
a
seriously.
literal brick, instead of a PlayStation 5.
Wow. That's almost performance art levels of scamming.
Small chuckle. It really shows how brazen these scammers can be. They're playing on that FOMO, that fear of missing out. People get so eager, so anxious to buy, they might ignore warning signs they'd normally spot.
A brick, though. You pay hundreds, maybe more, and get a brick. That's not just disappointment. That's adding insult to serious financial injury.
Absolutely. It highlights the audacity and the real harm caused. It's the financial loss, sure, but also that feeling of being deliberately tricked.
So if you are looking online trying to find a PS5, what are the big red flags? What should make you immediately suspicious?
Okay, first off, skepticism is your best friend,
Yeah.
especially if the price looks way, way lower than what major stores are charging.
The too good to be true rule.
Always. Be really wary of sellers with weird names, like just a jumble of letters and numbers, or sellers with zero feedback, or maybe only a tiny number of reviews.
Okay.
And watch out for anyone pressuring you, trying to rush the sale, saying you have to decide now. If it feels off, it probably is. Like we said, if the deal looks too good to be true.
It almost certainly is.
Got it. Okay, so all this dodgy stuff is happening.
Yeah.
What about the authorities? Are they just letting this slide? We heard the FBI is involved.
No, they're definitely not letting it slide. Agencies like the FBI are actively fighting this black market. The amount of money involved, the organization we talked about, it demands federal resources.
Right. And we heard about this specific operation, Operation Cyber Justice. Sounded pretty significant.
Yeah, that was a big one. They managed to shut down, I think it was around 50 websites. Sites that were dealing in stolen goods, counterfeit electronics.
50 sites. That's quite a sweep.
It shows they're taking the online aspect very seriously. They're likely using all sorts of techniques, online surveillance, maybe even undercover operations online.
Makes you wonder who you're actually talking to in some of those online chats, doesn't it? Could be a scammer, or it could be law enforcement pretending to be a buyer or seller. Exactly. The internet's anonymity cuts both ways. Bad guys exploit it, but law enforcement uses it for investigations too. Which leads us nicely to how you, the consumer, can actually stay safe.
Perfect timing. Our Don't Get Scammed survival guide. Lay it on us. What are the absolute must-dos to avoid becoming a victim here?
Okay, number one, and this is the big one, only buy expensive electronics, especially the really in-demand stuff like GPUs and new consoles, from authorized, legitimate retailers. Stick to the official stores and websites.
Seems simple enough, but I guess when things are sold out everywhere.
That's when temptation creeps in. But buying legit drastically cuts your risk of getting stolen or fake gear.
Okay, so rule 1, buy legit. What else?
Rule 2 builds on the price thing we mentioned. Be extremely wary of prices that are way below market value. That huge discount is almost always hiding something nasty.
Right, the too good to be true detector.
Keep it switched on, then think about how you pay.
Does that make a difference?
It really can. Using a credit card generally gives you more protection. Most card companies have fraud detection, and they can help you dispute charges if you get scammed, like if you pay and get that brick instead of a PS5.
Okay. So credit card preferred. What about things like wire transfers or gift cards?
Avoid those if you can, especially with sellers you don't know and trust. They're much harder, sometimes impossible, to get your money back from if something goes wrong.
Good tip. And what about meeting sellers in person? You find someone on a local marketplace, maybe.
Oof. Extreme caution is needed there. Meeting strangers for high-value transactions carries real risks, not just financial ones.
So probably best avoided unless you're really sure.
Ideally, yes. If you must meet, pick a very public, safe place during the day, maybe a police station parking lot if they allow it, and bring a friend. But honestly, sticking to verified sellers, usually online through reputable platforms, is safer.
Right, so maybe skip the meetup in the dark alley behind the bowling alley.
Amused. Yeah, strongly advise against that particular venue.
Okay, one last thing. We heard that story that just blew my mind. Someone didn't even get a fake console or a brick. They bought a picture of a GPU.
Yes. That story, it sounds almost funny, but it's also terrifying, right?
Totally.
It just highlights the lengths these scammers will go to, the sheer creativity and, frankly, nerve. It shows you might not even get a physical thing, fake or otherwise. You could get literally nothing of value.
So the scam isn't always about a convincing fake. It can just be outright deception based on misleading listings.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It really hammers home why you need to read everything super carefully, check seller reputations, and just be vigilant about every single part of the transaction online.
Yeah.
And that feeling, of being ripped off, of being taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Sadly, that's something a lot of listeners might have experienced in some way online.
Yeah, that feeling sucks. Okay, so let's wrap this up. As we finish this deep dive, what are the absolute key things you want listeners to take away?
Okay, I think four main things. First, just grasp the scale. This isn't small change. It's a multi-billion-dollar shadow market.
Right, billions.
Second, know the main targets. High-demand GPUs, especially because of crypto,
Yeah.
and the hot consoles like the PS5. That's where the biggest risks often are for theft and fakes.
Got it. Targets identified.
Third, be really aware of the tactics. It's not just obvious fakes. It's repackaged old tech, empty boxes, bricks, photos,
Yeah.
sophisticated bait and switch sometimes. Know what to look for.
Stay vigilant.
And fourth, remember that while law enforcement is working on this, fighting back with things like Operation Cyber Justice, ultimately protecting yourself is down to you. Your choices, your caution.
So bottom line, next time you're hunting for tech online, especially if it's something hard to find, and you see a deal that makes you gasp, take a breath.
Exactly. Pause. Think about what we've discussed.
If it looks too good to be true.
It probably is. Do that extra bit of research on the seller, check reviews elsewhere, stay informed about the latest scams. It really could save you a ton of cash and honestly a massive headache.